while the sheep go about their days unaware of the dangers around them, oblivious to this new reality. The shepherd is always on the alert, always watching, always training, always vigilant for the wolf. The wolf who is lurking just beyond sight, hunting its next victim, waiting for a moment of weakness to strike.
Okay, this is going to be part 3. We're finally going to get into that pack. We're finally going to look at some sustainment gear as far as what you're sleeping in, some other stuff to help keep you alive, tools, fire starting equipment, some other medical supplies. So let's dive into it. Now it's important to note here that when we talk about tools, I've also spoken with the other members of my group. So we all kind of know what each other are bringing. So I don't want to have someone show up and have 10 axes and 10 hatchets and no shovel. So my tool, one of mine, is a shovel. It's something that a lot of people don't bring, I've noticed, so I'm the guy who brings the e-tool. Again, we don't need to waste that weight on carrying all these extra axes that we're not going to ever swing. So see what's in your group and see what you need to bring. While I may not bring an axe, I definitely do bring my own little camp axe, or I guess it would be a pack hatchet, right? A little pack hatchet here. And I use this for helping out when it comes to batoning wood and gathering small limbs. I'm not trying to cut down a tree or a thick log. I use this to cut off little limbs for branches for shelters or little kindling. This is great for that. I can still choke up on it really high and still, you know, make some tinder very easily. And I can also go ahead and swing this into a log or something, and I can actually baton through that. I've done it before. It's not bad. Don't get one of these and expect to cut the same thing that a camp axe would. Because you won't. It's going to suck. Get the tool that you need for your job. Again, I already have guys bringing axes and hatchets, so this is just my personal little tool with a nice little sheath here. I think I got this on Etsy, but put this on my belt now and carry it around the little campsite. So something else I always bring is going to be a small folding saw. So folding saws are absolutely fantastic for cutting through some of those thicker limbs that maybe your little pack hatchet can't do. This makes all that a breeze. I mean, and they're super light, they're super thin, and it actually doubles for me as a fire starter. So I actually take my ferro rod and I can use the back sharp edge of this blade, and I can just go ahead and use that to get a spark. It's actually a lot better than a lot of the scrapers I've seen. So a folding saw, I think, is something that everyone should carry. They're so light and so small, I see no reason really not to. This is a Gerber. Silkies make one. No problem if everyone brings one of these on your team. So the knife I always bring with me is going to be the Izula. I think it's the Izula 1. The Izula 2 is a little longer handled. But this Izula, it's OD green, and I have wrapped my own handle in paracord there. These knives are great. I can do little tiny work on it. I can, you know, maybe fillet fish. Whatever you really need to do, small around the camp, just little tasks. Always need a good solid knife. So these are light. The grip's actually hollow, so it saves a lot of weight. But the Izula is really, really good. It comes with a cool little sheath here that you can move the little clip around, put it whichever way you want. But I think everyone absolutely needs to have a knife. So something to maintain our bladed items, be that our hatchets, our axes, or our knives, is going to be a sharpening stone. If you have a bladed item, you're going to need a way to sharpen that. So you should absolutely always get some sort of stone to sharpen up all of your tools. So again, tools are going to be incredibly important, but it's really important to talk amongst your community, amongst your team, as to who's bringing what. You don't want one guy to bring an axe and a shovel and a hatchet and a large folding saw, and it's just too much for one person. So spread that load out amongst your community, amongst your team, talk amongst yourselves, see who's bringing what. Just remember that the mission is going to be what drives whatever tools you're going to bring. Okay, now I am not a fire expert here. There are tons of guys on YouTube you guys can watch and probably learn far more than me. I'm just going to go over what a small sampling of I have in my pack. So one is going to be a lighter. Now lighters are great, right? One flick lights up. These are also the most fragile and the easiest to go. So don't completely count on the lighter, but I would definitely have a good stock of lighters. So next thing is going to be matches. So matches are great, right? One strike, lights up. But again, these are also very expendable. But the thing is, they're very cheap. So if you don't have that many stock up right now, I have a whole bunch. So I keep them in this kit for the 5-year thing here, because I think I do have enough matches. I have boxes and boxes of matches, which I probably would use very sparingly. Now, ferro rods are great. They're a little bit more sensitive as far as starting materials go. You definitely need something very dry. If you don't have something dry, you're never going to get it with a ferro rod. But ferro rods are great. They do last for quite a while. They do not last indefinitely though. And you need some way to actually strike them. So what I use is the back of my folding saw blade. There we go. Repeat over and over until you actually get what you're looking for. Now, tea light candles are a really awesome little trick I picked up. I can't remember who it was who showed me this on YouTube, but these are super cheap. And the idea being is that when you're out in the wilderness or something, you simply just light the candle up, and now you have a constant flame that you can go ahead and build on. Instead of trying to get a strike over and over again, light it, now you have that flame sitting there. You don't have to worry about that. You can just build around it and get that fire going. And if you get that fire going quick enough, you could even put this out and pull the candle out and save your candle for next time. So stock up on these. I have boxes of these as well. These are super cheap. Grab as many as you can while you can. So something else you guys should always have is a small tinder pile. Like right now, I don't actually have my tinder pile with me. It's in the house. I forgot it. But Altoid can, saw shavings, things like that. Something very fine, something very easy to ignite with your ferro rod. That way, it just gets you out the gate that much quicker. So if you haven't tried to gather up some wet material and try to dry that out real fast, you're gonna have to do that eventually anyway. But having a small pile of stuff to bring with you is a great way to start. Now, there are tons and tons of YouTube channels and YouTube videos dedicated to fire starting. Go watch those guys. Go learn as much as you can about fire starting. I've watched a whole bunch of them. Those guys know way more than I ever will as far as fire starting goes. Tons of tips there, tons of tricks, but I'm just going over what I'm currently carrying, not exactly my full application of it. Okay, now our next one you absolutely need is shelter. On this mission, I would hope that we can stay with other people along the way there if we have to do that, if there's nowhere else we can stay at. But if you do, you're going to have provisions to make your own shelters. So let's go over a couple things I have on the table. So something everyone needs to bring is going to be a cordage kit. Some sort of cordage, 550 cord, boot laces. I love 550. 550 does pretty much everything I needed to do. It's something I'm going to use for my shelter, something I'm going to use to repair boot laces. And you can just cut it and you can take the guts out of it. And each one of those then becomes its own strand. And the amount of uses of paracord are probably unlimited. So stock up on cordage, bring a lot with you. You're going to need more than you think you will. Okay, so to go along with our cordage, we have a poncho. So ponchos are absolutely invaluable items. Ponchos are something you can just go ahead and don, obviously as they're intended as a poncho, but they also have little eyelets on them and you can make shelters out of those. Something called a Ranger Diamond. I'll put one up in the corner over here somewhere. If not, go ahead and look that up. But ponchos are great for waterproofing yourself, your kit, wood, all sorts of things with ponchos. Bring a poncho or a tarp, something that you can actually waterproof and wrap yourself or your kit in, whatever else you need. All right, because we're going to be sleeping outside, it's February, we need a heavy sleeping bag. So this is the USGI black winter sleeping bag. So these come in a kit. There's actually 4 items in the kit. One's the bag, the other is the black bag, the other is a green summer bag that you can actually combine with the black bag to put the rating down even lower. I'm only going to bring the black bag. It's not going to be to the temperatures I'm going to need both bags together. But I am going to bring another piece of this kit I'm going to show right now. Alright, so going along with that sleeping bag is going to be the bivy bag. So bivy bags aren't new. They've been around for a very long time. But essentially a bivy bag is to make sure that you stay dry while you sleep. Think of it like your own personal tent, right? So you also don't wake up in a puddle of water. This is made of Gore-Tex, so it is breathable. It helps with wind, it helps keep that heat in, and most importantly, you stay dry when you're trying to sleep. I think bivy bags are absolutely invaluable items. You can use these for a plethora of things as well, but I think you absolutely need a bivy bag wherever you go with a sleeping bag, pretty much regardless of the season. You never want to get soaked when you're sleeping in your bag. So bring a bivy. Alright, so this is going to be a boo-boo kit. Not to be confused with an IFAK. An IFAK is more for traumatic injuries. Boo-boo kits are going to be things like splinters, small cuts, things that need band-aids, ointments, burn gels, things that are not emergency items, but they're very, very nice to have, and you should absolutely bring them along. So I've got a couple here on the table. Let's check those out. Alright, so in here I have nail clippers, tweezers, small medical scissors, and some razor blades. These are super helpful. Got some foot powder here. Need that for your feet. You'll be walking a lot, right? So foot powder, if you have it,
bring it. Tape for a whole bunch of things. Tape for yourself, tape for your kit, you name it, tape will do it. So I just keep a wrap of tape in my little kit here. Not so much medical, but a sewing kit. Just a small needle and thread just to sew back together. Typically clothing, packs, straps, things like that. Definitely needed. Random assortment of bandages and some moleskin in case you do get a blister. Helps with that. Definitely feels a lot better when you put that moleskin around it. This is going to be things like just antiseptics. We've got some liquid bandage. This is one that people forget all the time, right? Just a lip balm, just chapstick. Your lips are going to crack, especially outside in the cold, in the sun, in the wind. Lip balm, definitely needed. And in here I just have some burn dressing and some more ointments, things like that. So this is going to be a very important one, and one that might be, I wouldn't say controversial, but it's up to your battery supply. I think I have enough AA's to get through, but night vision. So let's get into night vision real fast. It's a pretty important topic. Okay, so this is the Cry nightcap. This is my night vision mount of choice, mainly because just how small it is. I don't see the need to have some crazy cool tactical bump helmet when this fits in a cargo pocket. And I'm only going to wear it simply to mount night vision. That's it, nothing more, nothing less. It is only a night vision mount. This is the lightest, smallest, most compact one I could find. Still super rugged as far as the mount goes. It takes a normal night vision mount. This is a Army modified Rhino 2, but these are only about 70 bucks. So whenever a helmet can actually fit my pocket, let me know. I'll get a helmet. Until then, this thing is going in my pack. And this is the PVS-14. So the PVS-14 is a Gen 3 night vision tube. It is military standard. This one's green, so it's not white, it's green. But absolutely great. Night vision is going to be its own massive topic. And so is the battery usage, right? So I think that my stock of AA's is going to last quite a while. Especially once I know something's going on, I'm going to really limit my use of AA's as much as I can. 1, 2, 3s, I just don't have enough of those. But I do have enough AA's, and I think we can keep AA's going as a community for quite some time. So this is going to be some odds and ends things. I have a multi-tool. Multi-tools are great. They have knives on them, screwdrivers, pliers. I mean, multi-tools, perfect thing to bring. Gotta have a spoon. Everyone has spoons. Bring a spoon. Flashlights. Had to dig around for a while, but I did find one of my flashlights that take AA's. So a good flashlight get you through a lot. Another flashlight. This one's got a little red lens on it though. It's great for nighttime, a little bit harder to see. My 22 conversion kit, which I've shown before. EMO for it. And some electrical tape. Again, just for taping, whatever you need to do. So I actually carry a small pack in my large pack. And the reason for this is that when I set my large pack down, I can still pick up this small pack and go out on patrols or go for hikes, whatever I need to do. I think a small pack that you can just detach from your large pack and still have enough space in here to sustain yourself is a great idea. Something I picked up from my time in the military. So having a small pack that you can just attach like an assault pack or a day pack, it's probably a good thing to do. Alright, so something else we absolutely need is going to be water. Now for me, I have water all over the place here. I have a well here, snow on the ground. But filtering water is going to be something we absolutely have to do. So I have my own little filtering kit here. It's got the Sawyer mini filter, a squeeze bag, and then I have some adapter pieces here to go ahead and use these with the Camelback. But filters don't last forever. They're also subject to cracking from ice if they freeze. So something you can do is you can boil water. I have a small canteen cup I bring with me, and we have a couple other guys with us who bring things like larger pots just to boil water. So water's going to be huge. Find ways to carry water. I carry 2 canteens and I carry a Camelback bladder. So bladders are something that are, I wouldn't say they're necessarily fragile, but they're something I don't really want to have out solely in a winter frozen environment. So having a hard bottle I think is a must. Alright, 2 more things here. Got a sleeping mat here. So sleeping mats are not so much for comfort as they are just getting you off that cold ground. Now, that ground's going to try to zap as much heat out of you as possible. So having something that will buffer you off the ground is great. You can go ahead and make one out of brush and things like that too, but this is quick. I can just throw it out and it's ready to go.
put this inside of your sleeping bag so you don't fall off it like I do all the time. This is a USMC, I think it's like an accordion style one. I hate the roll-up ones. Never get them to stay right, but this one's been pretty good. And of course, spare clothes. So go back to part 2 if you guys want to see what's in this. But it's essentially just socks, spare underlayers, a sweatshirt, spare gloves, hat. You need to have your stuff waterproofed. I would waterproof everything you can. You don't have to have one of these cool USMC Max sacks. You can definitely just use trash bags, things like that, plastic. There's plenty of great ways to waterproof your kit, but don't go to change your stuff and find out that all of it's just as wet as everything you're wearing. So waterproof everything you can. So as you can see, guys, there's a lot that goes into this. That's not all of it. I'm sure I forgot something. I'm gonna go sit down to edit this. I'm gonna be like, oh, I forgot to say this or that or this. And every single thing I mentioned has its own topic. Fire starting, night vision, water filtration. It all deserves its own video. And I will probably get to that hopefully at some point in the future. This is just touching on what I'm bringing. This is not a in-depth anything. I really want to get into things like sustainment as far as food and food gathering goes, because logistics are what drives everything. And to see if this is even a feasible exercise, that's up to you. That's something I want to get into in the future. But for now, I'm going to leave this where it is. Until next time, guys, see you later.